How do you manage people's expectations in a team where there's disagreement?
So it's interesting. I think disagreement should be part of a team. I mean, in fact, many ineffective teams are ineffective because they're scared of disagreeing with each other. And we have to remember that when people disagree, actually what's happening is they just have different opinions. So nobody's right, nobody's wrong. They have different opinions, and actually radical challenge, as we call it at Ivy House, is essential. It's an essential part of a team. So I think, firstly, don't be afraid of it. Allow disagreement, allow different opinions, and then learn to hear them. What often tends to happen, because we've grown up in a society where it's very important to us to be right and win. Whereas great leaders recognize that actually it's far better to be in a place of curiosity than trying to be right all the time. So if somebody has a different opinion to me as a leader, the first thing I'll say is that, wow, that's a completely different opinion to mine. Tell me, where did you get that? What's informing your opinion? What am I missing? How can I grow my idea of what's going on out here? So I would say embrace it, but always be respectful. It's really important when there's difference to remember it's just opinion, and my view is just my opinion too. So if I disagree with you and I'm sitting here going, but I'm right, she's wrong, I'm right, she's wrong, I'm going to be fighting to win. But if I disagree with you and go, wow, we've got different opinions, okay, well, mine's just my opinion, what's yours? We'll have a very different conversation.
Yeah. And actually, to add on to that, how would you manage it in the moment? So, in a team setting when there is disagreement, I know you kind of said there that that's my opinion, that's your opinion. Where does your opinion come from, essentially? What's made you think that way? How else would you phrase it? Is there any other way that...
The first thing is, when we set up teams, we have to embrace, we want different opinions. For us to be effective as a team, we want people to think differently. So many teams recruit in their own mirror image and they all end up thinking the same, and that's never going to get you anywhere. So in the setup, you have to make it part of the team. And in the moment, it comes down to having respectful conversations. So, and that's a whole skill in its own right. But if I'm going to have a respectful conversation with them, I will absolutely say, wow, that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Now, as I clearly have a very different opinion, I tell you what, why don't you just tell me everything you know and think about this? And I just want to listen. So it's about inviting, listening, sharing, and also letting people let go of this idea of needing to win and be right. So you'll often hear me in a meeting go, oh God, yeah, I'm completely wrong. That is absolutely right. Yeah, change my mind. Let's change. And I know when people first come here, they go, oh, she's changing her mind. That's what we want in a leader. We want somebody that has the courage to change their mind and not pin it. So I think it's about setup, and then in the moment, just being super respectful and genuinely curious.
How do you facilitate conversations with people so that feedback is constructive?
So if you want to give somebody feedback, you need to ask permission. So you have no right to give anybody feedback without them granting you permission to share it with them. And it's a really interesting thing that happens in that moment, because you can go, there's something I'd like to share with you. There's some feedback I'd like to share with you. Would it be okay to do that? And in that moment, they can either go no, which most people feel a bit idiotic when they say no, but people do say no. They might go, actually, now's not the right time. Can we talk about it tomorrow? Great. Yeah, we can. Or they go, oh, okay, then go on. Well, that's not permission. That's, and I would turn around and go, well, actually, no, genuine. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Let me know when the right time is. And then they'll go, no, seriously, sorry, I'm fine. Well, what is it you wanted to say? So that changes the whole dynamic. The second thing is to always remember that your feedback is just your opinion. Now, where there is so much stuff about feedback, oh, I can't give feedback, I can't receive feedback, it's really tough. And it's because you think when you're giving feedback, you're giving the truth. Like for some reason, God has decided you're the only one that can see the truth in the world, and you're the one that has to deliver the message. So when you realize it's just your opinion and you give it in that way, then it doesn't feel so stingy. The third thing I think is to never give an opinion about somebody's character. So, we've got 5 kids, right? So sometimes there's been arguments about the washing up, about clearing the kitchen. So if one of them turns to another and goes, "You're just lazy, it's not fair," that's going to end in an argument. But if you actually say, share your intent, "I'd love to give you some feedback. Would that be okay? The reason I want to give the feedback is because I think it would help us get along better in the house." Yeah. So my observation is that when we wash up, my experience is when we wash up, you often disappear off on your phone, or you always have to go to the loo, or, you just never seem to be around. The impact on me of that is that I start to feel a bit angry and that it's not fair. And I don't think that's what you want in our relationship. So what that example shows is that when we talk about the behavior, not the person, we have a far more respectful conversation. So try and pin down the behavior, and the behavior is anything you can see or hear. And when you pin down the behavior and you share the behavior and share the impact on you, and then leave it up to them whether or not they want to change. You can't dictate that.
Within a team, how do you resolve conflict without criticizing people?
So if we go back to the criticism first, right? So if I say you're just useless at selling and I need somebody better, I'm directly criticizing you. Okay. So we need to take criticism out of it. What it is an opinion on something that's going on. So if I change that to, I notice that we're not hitting our sales targets on a regular basis. And what I'd love to do is explore what's going on and what we could do better to ensure that we hit them. Would that work for you? Now, all of a sudden, we're going to have a much more respectful conversation. Now, what often happens in teams is a lot of people within the team spend a lot of time, what I would call below the line. And below the line means I'm motivated by winning and being right. So I don't hear you because, in fact, you will have had this, right? Have you ever had an argument with anyone?
Yes.
Yes. You have, right? Now, answer this question. When you argue with somebody and they're giving you their opinion, are you listening to them? Or are you in your head thinking about what you're going to say when they take a breath?
Thinking about what I'm going to say when they take a breath.
Yeah, because what we're trying to do is I can counter that and I can come in and I can say this and woo, that'll win. So we're taught to win and be right. And that just doesn't work. It doesn't work in relationships. There's a brilliant quote, which is, if you're playing to win, you've already lost. It doesn't work in relationships and it doesn't work in teams. So what we need to be is above the line, which means we need to be motivated by curiosity and learning as opposed to winning and being right. So when we're above the line, we are in a place of, okay, so, we have a different opinion, or actually, I'd love to give you some feedback on this. And they will show up with curiosity as opposed to defensiveness. Again, that comes down to how well we set up the team. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Cool.
How do you say no in a diplomatic and positive way?
So again, this comes back to, if somebody's asking you for something, if they're a human being, who do you want to be in relation to this human being? So let's imagine, somebody wants to ask you out and you sort of know they've wanted to ask you out for ages. And finally they pluck up the courage to ask you out. So you could diss them and be really, unkind, or if you want to be kind and respectful, you say no in a kind and respectful way. And it may upset them. The no might upset them, but that's not for you to deal with, providing you show up with compassion, respect. So, it might be, I really appreciate you asking, and I know what it takes to do that. And thank you. I feel, heartfelt that you did that. And actually, for me, no, it wouldn't work for me. It's not right for me. The really important thing here is when you're saying no is to be clear and say no. Clear is kind, unclear is unkind. So and people are often fearful of being clear because they're scared of hurting somebody else. But don't forget, the hurt is optional. Yeah, that'll be down to how they think about what happened, and they can send themselves off into some sort of spiral of sadness and all the rest of it. But that is down to them. What's down to you is to be respectful, compassionate, and clear. And that's it. And then never, ever, and we're talking about the being asked out situation, but it's the same in work. If somebody asks you, to come and work in their team and you go, actually, no, I'd rather stay in this team. Thank you for asking. I really appreciate the offer. But then the worst thing you could do is run around and go, oh my God, they asked me to go and join them. Or, oh my God, he asked me out or she asked me out. That is just not respectful or have integrity. So it's about who you are in the situation.
As a leader, how do you get people on board with a new idea?
It's two things. The first is to engage them, and the second is to enthuse. So let's talk about engagement first. So one of the biggest mistakes leaders make is they do push. Oh, push, push, push. I'm going to push my ideas into you. And I might try and push an idea into you, and I might hit lucky because you're really interested in the same thing as me. And you might go, yeah, I want to do that. But the chances of that are really slim. If, on the other hand, I engaged with you and I said, I've got an idea about building a new building out there, but I'm interested. What do you think? And how could it be? And, so I'm engaging you in that. And then I go, right. So based on what you've said, I think we could build something that looks like this and does this. So all of a sudden you have agency, you have some buy-in to that idea. So I think it's about communication and hearing what people say and then shaping your idea in a way that makes it easy for them to hear because they've engaged with it. The second thing is enthusiasm. So I was told once many, many years ago, sales and getting someone to buy into your idea is just a sales pitch, right? Sales is just the transfer of enthusiasm. So I don't think it's just the transfer of enthusiasm because I think you need to engage people, but it's a massive part of it. So if I came to you and went, oh my God, I saw an incredible film last night and, I cried, I laughed, I'm going to remember it forever. It's the best film I've ever seen. You're going to ask me what the film is.
Yeah.
So when you combine those two things, when you engage people and actually hear their opinions and hear what they've got to say, and you build it in a way that they can hear it, that it's easy for them to hear, and then you bring your real passion and enthusiasm for the idea, that's contagious. Passion and enthusiasm. Somebody you can get, I'm not a cricket fan, right? But my husband's super big fan of cricket. And the way he talks about it, even I'm interested in it. So he has this way of just engaging in me in that. And we need to always remember that.
How does a leader have maximum impact?
Okay, so this comes down to two key things, but they're massive things. The first is character. And the second is competence. So if we take character first, people actually want to like you. They want to trust you. They want to believe in you. So, and character often comes down to intent and integrity. So I'd have to, if you were my leader, I would need to know that you had good intent, that you were motivated by good things. So are you trying to do good in the world and good in the organization and good for me? Or are you just trying to make a quick buck for yourself? So, and there are a lot of leaders out there, quite frankly, that do that. They're out there to serve themselves and actually they don't have impact in that way. And then, of course, there's competence. To be a leader, you actually need to be good at what you do. And a lot of leaders forget this. They think because they get the promotion that somehow they need to stop learning. In fact, I'd say it's one of the biggest faults of leaders is they stop learning. So do I have the knowledge I need? Do I have the skills I need? Do I know about external things? Do I know about internal things? So we've got to keep growing. So within that, I would say if I were to pick on, if when people ask the question about impact, they're asking about how do I show up in a room and have impact? Clearly, that's about your personal energy, the way you communicate. If we're looking at how I have impact within an organization, I would say being absolutely crystal clear about the vision and showing people that they are part of that journey and that they know they're part of it and connecting with them with the bits they really enjoy, connecting with individuals and learning how to communicate. Because leadership is manifested through communication. It's manifested through one conversation after the other. So if I am really good one-to-one and with small groups and with large groups, I'm going to have far more impact than if I haven't mastered those communication skills.